Podcast 34, Week 36. Welcome to the podcast, Your Pregnancy Week by Week. This podcast covers the 40 weeks of pregnancy in 38 segments and is based on the book Your Pregnancy Week by Week by Dr. Glade Curtis, MD, and me, Judith Schuler, MS. The information in our books and podcasts is a general informative guide about pregnancy. None of the information we provide is intended to replace, countermand, or conflict with the advice given to you by your own doctor. Always follow his or her advice. Use the information you learn here as a starting place in your dialogue to help you put your pregnancy concerns, questions, or interests into words. The goal of every pregnancy is a healthy mom and a healthy baby. To that end, our podcasts cover many topics. In each weekly podcast, we'll highlight information contained in the same weekly discussion in our book. We suggest you read each weekly chapter to learn further information, such as how baby is growing and changing, and how you're growing and changing too. Our book also contains illustrations of changes in baby or you, advice for dads, charts, lists, boxes, an exercise for every week, a comprehensive glossary, hints, tips, snippets, and blurbs we just can't reproduce in a podcast. So let's get started on this week's discussion. We're going to look at week 36. Baby's respiratory system is the last one to mature. If baby's lungs aren't mature, baby may not be able to breathe on its own after birth. This is called respiratory-distress syndrome, RDS. 2 tests can be done before birth to predict whether baby will be able to breathe without assistance, the LS ratio and the PG tests. Both tests are done by amniocentesis. Do your legs twitch when you sit down to relax or when you go to bed? It may be restless-leg syndrome, RLS. About 1/3 of all pregnant women experience it. People describe RLS in different ways, but it's mainly a sensation in your legs that makes you feel like you have to move them. If you have the problem before pregnancy, it may get worse now. It's not serious, but it can rob you of sleep. Experts suggest RLS may be linked to anemia, an iron or folic acid deficiency, hormonal changes, and circulation changes. Others believe caffeine, smoking, and certain meds can make it worse. Tell your doctor if you have RLS. Symptoms usually peak during the 3rd trimester. Luckily for women who develop RLS during pregnancy, it's usually temporary. Most drugs used to treat restless-leg syndrome haven't been studied in pregnant women, so we don't recommend them. But hang in there. Restless-leg syndrome often disappears completely within a month after baby's birth. Labor is fast approaching. What is it exactly? Labor is defined as stretching and thinning of the cervix. First, the cervix softens and thins out, then the uterus, which is a muscle, tightens and relaxes to squeeze out the baby. As baby is pushed out, the cervix stretches and opens to 10 centimeters, about 4 inches, for baby to pass through it. There are 3 stages of labor. In stage 1, labor begins with uterine contractions that soften and dilate the cervix. The first stage ends when the cervix is fully dilated at 10 centimeters, open enough to allow baby's head to come through it. Stage 2 begins when the cervix is fully dilated and ends with baby's delivery. Stage 3 begins after baby's birth and ends with the delivery of the placenta. How long will labor last? The length of the first and second stages of labor can last 14 to 15 hours or more in a first pregnancy. When you hear about a long labor, most of the time is spent in early labor. It's time to choose a doctor for your baby. You might choose a pediatrician or a family practitioner. If you see a family practitioner and you want him or her to care for your baby, you're probably all set. If not, ask for referrals. Your pregnancy doctor might be able to give you one, or ask family and friends for names of doctors they like who are accepting new patients. It's good to meet the person who will care for your baby before birth. This first visit is important, so ask your partner to go with you. You can discuss any concerns or questions about care of your baby. When baby is born, this doctor will come to the hospital to check him or her. Selecting a pediatrician before the birth ensures the baby will see the same doctor for follow-up visits at the hospital and the doctor's office. Be prepared to ask a lot of questions to help you decide whether this doctor is a good fit for your new family. After your visit, you and your partner need to analyze what you learned. By choosing someone to care for baby before birth, you make the choice. If you don't, the doctor who delivers your baby or hospital personnel will select someone. Another good reason for choosing someone ahead of time is if baby has complications, you'll at least have met the person who will be treating him or her. You're probably bored with the food you've been eating. Baby is getting bigger and you don't seem to have much room for food. Heartburn or indigestion may also be challenging. Keep up your fluid intake. Drink lots of water and get fluids from other beverages and foods. Eat high-fiber foods to help with constipation and heartburn. After baby arrives, you'll be able to eat many of the foods you've missed during pregnancy. You probably want to know at what point in your pregnancy your doctor can tell how baby is presenting for delivery. Presentation refers to the part of the baby's body that comes out through the birth canal first. It's usually the head, but sometimes the buttocks or a shoulder lead the way. Usually between 32 and 34 weeks of pregnancy, you can feel baby's head in the lower abdomen below your belly button. It feels hard. If baby is breech, that means its little butt is coming through the birth canal first. It has a soft, round feeling. At 34 to 36 weeks of pregnancy, baby usually gets into the position it's going to stay in. It's possible baby can still turn, but it's less likely the closer you get to delivery. Packing for the hospital can be unnerving. You don't want to pack too early and have your suitcase staring at you, but you don't want to have to wait until the last minute and not have time to pack anything. Pack about 3 or 4 weeks before your due date. Include things you'll need during labor for you and your labor coach, items you and baby will need after delivery, and personal articles for your hospital stay. The hospital will probably supply most of what you need for baby, but consider clothes for the trip home, a couple of baby blankets, and diapers if your hospital doesn't supply them. Be sure you have an approved infant car seat for baby's first ride. Many hospitals won't let you take your baby home without one. Pack clothes you know will be comfortable to wear home after baby's birth. Don't leave this up to your partner. A friend told me her daughter didn't get a chance to pack for herself and had to ask her husband to bring her some clothes to wear home from the hospital. She was horrified when he brought her a pair of skinny jeans, a thong, and a crop top to wear home. Sometimes men just don't get it. Remember, our podcasts give you the highlights of what may be happening in any given week. Check our book, Your Pregnancy Week by Week, for more detailed information. You may also want to check out our book for partners, Your Pregnancy for the Father-to-Be. It covers pregnancy from a man's point of view and provides lots of valuable information a man may find very useful. If you want to find out more about our podcast, visit our website, yourpregnancyweekbyweek.com. If you're looking for something specific, check out the podcast topics list. It details topics covered in each podcast, so you can listen to a particular podcast or read a certain chapter week if you want more information, or if you want to check out something you missed or a topic we haven't covered yet.